Edward Whitlow was the first of my ancestors on my mother's side to immigrate to Australia in the 1850s. Having Sam do this assignment has been good because there were a few things that we knew about him and some that have been spoken within the family. And of course, you're not ever really sure if that's totally true. Sam was able to confirm some of those stories. A lot of the information I had actually thought was about my great-grandfather, but I was a generation out. I knew the family had changed their name at some stage. I hadn't realised it was the maiden name of turns out my great-great-great-grandmother. That was where the Whitlow came from. I also knew that someone had played cricket for Manchester and had played for Melbourne. Family legend would have it that he played in the first ever game at Old Trafford. I'm not sure. We still don't know actually if that's true, but certainly the time frame works out that it could well be true. At no time had I ever heard he was a solicitor, but maybe the family weren't too proud of the way he ended up. It certainly seems like a bit of a sad story. Someone sort of seemingly from quite a privileged background can end up dead of alcoholism at 38. And I'm sure there's a lot more to that story that we'll never know, and maybe that's a good thing. I do know my grandfather inherited a substantial amount of property in Manchester, and that was in the 1930s. I know there was a terrace of houses and a commercial property and a cricket ground, I believe. His biggest regret was that he never borrowed the money to go and oversee the sale of all that property. What he did was put it in the hands of lawyers in Melbourne, who of course engaged lawyers in Manchester, and I think Grandpa got less than £1,000 in the end, which was still substantial in the 1930s. But yeah, who knows what that really could have brought in. In 1956, my grandparents travelled to the UK and Europe, but while they were in the UK, they met some of Grandpa's aunts. I'm not sure how they were connected. I guess that might be an assignment for Sam for another time. I only know that my grandmother, I can remember her saying, these aunts had a lady come in to serve them afternoon tea, and Nan thought they were incredibly rude because they didn't offer to take her hat at any stage. So it was a vastly different time to now. Sam's assignment has answered quite a few questions and obviously raised a few more. Have to say, poor old Edward. It was a case of what could have been, and it was a shame he had such a fall from grace and ended the way he did.